My whole life, all I ever wanted to do was sing and perform. I would belt out Benatar in the shower. Hit me with your best shot. 8 years old. And to this day, nothing makes me feel more alive. When I was a freshman in high school, my dad bought a player piano. And the lyrics to the songs were printed on the rolls, and you could read them as the songs unspooled. And it was like this crazy antique karaoke, and I couldn't get enough of it. But singing in the shower and singing at that piano were all I ever did. I couldn't get up the nerve to sing in front of other people. I was a chubby kid. People picked on me. My nickname in middle school was Porky. And my life at home wasn't a whole lot better. There was abuse of every kind. Every kind. And I wasn't encouraged about my singing at home either. In fact, I was ridiculed for it. So I never auditioned for anything. I never got up. I never took the risk. But in my 30s, I started to heal. I got clean and sober. I started to figure out who I was. Thank you. And I started auditioning, and I started performing, but I always felt like I had been robbed out of my destiny, performing professionally. So Christmas 2000, my sister gifts me a trip to New York for the two of us. And our trip is going to include a performance of Les Mis on Broadway. So I don't know anything about the show. I know some of the music, and I know one of the songs because it's in my range. And I know that had I had the opportunity, I would have loved to play that part on Broadway. So we get to the theater in March of the same year, and neither one of us can believe it. We are about to see a Broadway show in a Broadway theater. We've got these incredible front and center seats. So she doesn't know the show either. We're just pretty much going in blind. But the curtain comes up, and if you know Les Mis, you know that it's pretty intense right off the bat. Look down. Okay, so we're instantly transfixed. And so we didn't know the story, but we did both grow up in the same abusive house. So as the story unfolds and we find out that it's about redemption and shame and rebuilding yourself and love and family, we started crying. So yeah, we pretty much bawled through the whole first act. And one day more at the end of the first act did us in. We were inconsolable. So the curtain comes down and the guy in front of us turns around to make sure we're okay. That's how emotional we were. So we pulled our act together just in time for the second act. So the second act starts, and here's the song I'm waiting for. Here's the part. And it starts up, and I realize that I am mad at God. I'm resentful about my past, but most of all, I'm jealous of this young woman who's about to sing this song, because that's my part. That was my destiny. And I wait for the note. And if you know that song, you know the note. A world that's full of happiness that I have never known. And I got it. Never before and never again will I hear those words the same. A world that's full of happiness that I have never known. I got it. I wasn't supposed to be up on that stage. I was supposed to be sitting in that seat next to my sister, who I love and who loves me, and who had given me this incredible gift. And I had known plenty of happiness. I had healed through so much. My life was in front of me. And I had made it to Broadway, right? In my own way, and this young woman had made it in hers, and neither one was better than the other. One was just hers, and the other was mine. And I came completely unglued. So the curtain comes up, or no, the curtain comes down. The lights come up. The guy in front of us turns around again. He's like, "Do you need CPR? What's going on? I don't know what's happening." And we decided just to leave the theater. I have no idea what I said back to him. I don't know. So, really, at the time I smoked, and I just needed to go outside and smoke. I've since given that up, but that's what I did to cope at the time. So, my sister and I are standing outside, and she suggests we go to the stage door. And I'm like, I just had this extreme emotional breakthrough, for God's sake. I'm not going to the stage door, but she talked me into it. So we go to the stage door, and a van pulls up. And who gets out of the van but the guy who had been sitting in front of us? He and his wife were there to pick up their daughter, who had just performed in the show as young Cassette. And when he saw us, he was like, "You two again?" But then he said to his wife, if anybody deserves to go backstage, it's these two. So we got led on a tour of the theater by a little girl who was already living her dream. We saw the candlesticks, we saw the barricade, we saw the big red flag, we saw it all. And when we got to the stage, I sort of separated myself from the group and went out, and I stood where Eponine had sung her solo. And I can still see the red velvet seats. I was standing center stage on Broadway. I'd begun that evening as a woman who had always wondered what things would have been like if they had been different. So I broke into the very best time step I could manage. Because this was my last chance, probably my only chance to be on Broadway. And damn it, I was going to dance. Thank you.